Let me talk about the biggest issue with Grand Summoners Global. In the beginning of the game, whenever you start as a new player, you are overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that you have to do. You have the entirety of story, chapters on top of chapters on top of chapters to clear through, bosses to tackle, awakenings to obtain, and so much to do with the story alone. Then you have the events that are happening all the time. You got the limited time events like crossovers and other saga events. You got the side stories, you got so much stuff just right there. Not even to mention the giant bosses, right? So you can actually get some gear in the very beginning to get your account up. And it's just so good. And you're just wondering to yourself, you know, if this is what it's like right now, all of this stuff that I'm able to do, I'm just able to hop on, play with my friends, if you have any, and just cruise and just enjoy my time, enjoy the journey, right? I want to say that with a lot of live service games or gacha games or anything like that, it's more so about enjoying the journey instead of, you know, getting to the end and enjoying it all once you get to the end, right? And let me tell you, if you're in this spot right now, enjoy it. Do not rush through it, because once you get to the end, you become someone like me. Someone with absolutely nothing to do, especially on the global side of the game. Now, why is it that we have nothing to do? Is it because we have such strong units that we're able to clear content like within seconds? Or is it because there's actually nothing there to begin with? And it's actually the latter. It's nothing there. Once you beat the story, once you get through all the side stories, you get through the events, what is there left to do? Well, you have Summoner's Road. I would argue that's probably one of the best in-game pieces of content that we have in the game. The next thing you have are limited time modes like raids and mines. Raids don't ever come out on global, and mines don't even exist. But both of these modes are heavily loved by the veteran player base for the most part. Raids kind of get a little bit boring and stale after a few days because we're just constantly grinding the same thing, but everybody usually likes doing it because, you know, it's something new to do. It's something new to actually challenge your units and challenge your teams against, especially if it is a new raid, because the last few raids haven't been new raids. But the mines is definitely a fan favorite, I feel like, for most people. It really is a mode that just fits perfectly in GS. The only other piece of content that you can challenge yourself, and this is actually on a rotation, surprisingly, is Dungeon of Trials. Dungeon of Trials doesn't change every single time it comes out, but it does offer you various rewards if you go all the way through the dungeon and are able to beat it. However, I will say a lot of these in-game rewards, like the final few stages, aren't really worth it. Like, you get a unit. I mean, yeah, the unit's cool, but like the unit doesn't do anything. It's just not even good. But there is one thing that I will give Dungeon of Trials huge props for, and that is being on an actual schedule, coming out every single month. It is the only in-game content next to Summoner's Road that is actually on a set schedule. Unlike mines and raids, at least in the global side of the game, this is not on a schedule. They come out whenever the dev team feels like it. Is this the same in the Japanese version of the game? From what I understand, not entirely. It seems like that they are on an every other month type of situation in JP for the mines and the raids. And every single time the mines or the raids come back, it's usually coming back with a new boss and new gear to actually farm from it. So if you're a global veteran player, what happens is that you have nothing to look forward to. Once you clear the event, once you do your stuff, the only thing for you to do is... I don't know who likes crest farming. Like, this is the most mundane activity I've ever seen in my life. Now, you could argue as well there's other challenging content that you can do in the game as a veteran player, like farming ultra luck events, for example, Genzo and stuff, or helping out other people with these harder pieces of content, which is perfectly fine. I always encourage helping out the new players, especially whenever you can and you're free. But a lot of this content, maybe you guys can see where I'm going with this, is a one-off scenario. There is no replayability in a lot of the in-game content for GS. And I would even take this point further and to say it's not just the replayability that's the issue, it's the fact that the in-game for GS has a very weird gameplay loop. I'm not expecting a game that has endless amounts of content that can occupy my time for hours on end like Final Fantasy XIV, but I would love for something to actually be in the game that would make me log in and play instead of just logging in and closing the games. The only time this changes is when you get a new unit. Ladies and gentlemen, the content of GS has devolved into just this. Do you get the new unit? You do? You have stuff to do. Oh, you didn't get the new unit? Better luck next time. You're not doing anything. There's no reason for you to play the game. Which you can imagine, this definitely doesn't look good on any type of stat sheet that they have at Next Ninja. Whenever they look at the global version, they're like, let's see how the player numbers are. Oh, lots of new players. Okay, cool. But then the veteran players logging in and logging off. How could they go about fixing this? And I don't, unfortunately, have the answer for this. I'm not a developer, and I don't know the labor costs and everything they would need to even make a pretty substantial or functioning in-game loop for veteran players. But one thing that I do know is that they could do a very good band-aid fix, at least for the time being. And that is just do what JP does. It's as simple as that. JP has a schedule. They are releasing a raid next month. If there's nothing, then you best believe the following month there will be mines. Oh, mines happen this month, you best believe next month is raids, or if nothing happens, the following month will be raids. Like, you know, having something like that in place would be so beneficial. I'm having these 5 to 10 month gaps sometimes before we even see these in-game limited time modes. Another thing, being able to actually add content to the game. Not just rehashing content that we've already had and just rerunning it. If you're just rerunning content, it's like, why wasn't this just, you know, released earlier? Why didn't you guys release this 2 months ago whenever we needed it when we were in a content drought? Being able to release actual content that is new, being able to release a new boss, releasing new equips in the mines or in the raids, or even making a new event stage, right? Let's say every new event that comes out from now on will now have a legitimate challenge stage that has mechanics, stuff that you will have to know and learn to be able to beat the fight. And if you are able to full clear it, maybe it gives you like 5 lucky gems or something, right? This type of stuff I know that they can do. I really do. But it just currently feels like that the global direction doesn't make any sense. Since we're not trying to catch up to JP in terms of release schedule, maybe if they want to unify the global and Japanese releases so everything releases at the same time, I would be down for that. But we're not rushing to that point. Another thing, the fact that we're skipping around so much, we're missing out on a lot of content that just has been completely cut from the global side of the game. Multiple different side stories that global has never got and probably will never get because of us jumping around like this. I could go on for hours and hours about this. I hope you guys realize just how much I actually do care about this game, and I do enjoy it. GS has done a lot for me over the years, and I really just don't want to see this game go down this path of just kind of the same thing until eventually the ship is sinking. But hey, you heard everything from me. Tell me what you guys think down below in the comment section. It's me, your boy P. And last but not least, don't forget to drink water.